Mackay here with Ironside Ranch, and I want to talk real fast about what we're seeing in the stock market and what's going on with the cryptocurrencies and gold and with this whole kind of craziness. The reason that I want to talk about this and how this kind of comes back into play is because, our personal finance, kind of what's going on our farm, all comes back to, how successful we are financially to some aspect of it and how well we are at planning and preparing. Because I'm not a financial advisor. I really don't actually even know that much about it. I know just enough to be dangerous and just enough that I can make sure that my financial advisor, who's a great guy and very smart on this, that he is doing the best for me. But I don't do this stuff. I don't deal with stocks and bonds and stuff like that, ETFs and mutual funds. I let the guys that went to school for this, that are trained in this, I let them do it and do what they manage well. But part of having a well-balanced portfolio is having things like that, like stocks and bonds, having real estate, having rental properties, owning businesses, gold, silver, Bitcoin, stuff like that. Now, I'm not a cryptocurrency guy at all. For the longest time, I was actually very much against it because I didn't think that it would ever actually become something, mostly because I didn't understand it. When I thought it was just a digital currency, but it's actually so much more than that when you actually start understanding the blockchain and understanding what it actually is. It's very much more complicated than just being some digital currency. But don't take financial advice from guys like me. I can't even afford a decent cattle trailer. My cattle trailer costs $900. So that being said, let's jump into this. Gold, we saw gold prices rise, and we saw a rise in cryptocurrencies across the board. Again, I'm not a real cryptocurrency expert, so I take the numbers as a whole from what I read online and from the articles. We put a little bit of money in crypto just so that we have some, but we just don't understand enough of it to really be that invested. That's for smarter guys than me. But the rising of the cryptocurrencies and the rising of gold prices is really what I want to talk about, because it shows a deterioration in the thought process and the trust of the fiat currency system and of the fiat, specifically the dollar. And we see these cycles throughout time, right? We see them, in the 70s and 80s. We see them back in the 1920s. We see these cycles throughout time, before and after recessions. And we see this kind of rise as we start to rise. We see gold rise typically before these kind of downshifts in the market, and we'll generally see the inflation rates start getting to be some pretty staggering numbers, which is what we're seeing right now. The best way to track things like inflation is through things like food and tires and stuff like that we have to have, and that are kind of necessities for our way of life. And we can sort of see what's going on with the inflation rates, and we're seeing all of those things rise, and we're seeing everything go up in value, or up in cost, and we're not making any more money in our market. My business personally, we've gone up on prices, but nowhere near in relation to what the actual costs are to us, and we will have to go up again. But there's a certain consumer sentiment that when businesses go up in price, they're just being greedy, and so we have to be very careful about how we do it. So we're going to go up in price accordingly, but we can't probably do another price adjustment until next year. And so just because we've done several already over the last 2 years, and so it basically makes people think that we're just being greedy, and well, we're not being greedy, but our vehicle is very mobile based, and so we live out of our business is very mobile based, so we live out of our vehicles, we work out of our vehicles. So when prices of vehicle stuff go up, our services go up accordingly. And when gas prices go up, we take a huge hit. When the cost of tires go up, we take a huge hit. The cost of the materials to get our fleets fixed. I just sent all my fleet vehicles into the shop. It cost me $10,000 in repairs to get everything done that we needed to be done. But we want to make sure that all those are very good and reliable. And so we want to make sure that we have a good understanding of where these currencies are going and what's going on with it. So the bottom line is what I want you to take away from this video is that the fiat currencies, we're seeing a decline in the trust of those, and that's really where their value comes from. There's only value in the dollar because we give it value, right? There's no intrinsic value where it's attached to gold, like there are there's some cryptocurrencies, I guess, either coming out or have already come out that have this gold backing to them, and I think that's got some real potential there. But there's no potential with a fiat currency that we just arbitrarily assign a value to. There's no backing to it. The Chinese, what is it, yuan, June something, whatever, their dollar. They're now putting this on a relative gold standard. And I think last time I read about it, I think they were trying to do like 20% gold standard for it, whereas before we went off of the gold standard, it was a 40%. So basically 40% reserve currency to the dollar. And anyway, so there's other countries that are doing this, but we don't have this. So our value has always been in being the world reserve currency, which we're starting to see that slowly change. We're starting to see less and less countries trusting us as China's economy skyrockets and strengthens to get closer to ours. I think you're going to see some real competition there for who the world reserve currency is. And as Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies become more accepted, I think we're going to see even more. So the bottom line here, and the big takeaway, is that we should not have all of our money in this like stock market fiat system. We need to get ourselves out of this system, whether that's through gold, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies of any sort, silver, and I really like real estate. Amanda Lynn and I, we make our living in real estate. We own, Timberline Inspections, which does real estate inspections in transactions. We own that in Birmingham, and then Amanda Lynn, she's a licensed real estate agent. So we love real estate, but real estate may not be for everybody, but I think having some portion of your portfolio in real estate is always a good thing. Because you can have rental properties that are constantly giving you basically a dividend. It's like a dividend stock because they're constantly giving you that rental income coming in. Especially if you have good property managers, you can have things like a vacant land lot that it just has this intrinsic value increasing over time. And land, I think, is just always a good investment. It's really hard to buy land badly unless you just overpay for it. And even that, if you tend to hold it long enough, you'll recuperate the majority of that. So we got a screaming deal on our farm here, and we looked around and found it. We just ended up buying at the right time. At the time, I wasn't in real estate, so I didn't know that much about it. And Madeline and I weren't together. But we got a screaming deal on this farm, and now our farm is worth about twice as much as what we paid for it, and it's continuing to go up in value. And we would like to buy more land around here because I think that real estate is a good portion of your portfolio. So if you want to divide up your portfolio, you have like the Warren Buffett idea of 2% of your income or of your investments should be in precious metals. Then there's another idea that I can't remember now who it was that perpetrated this idea, but it's 10% of your overall portfolio should be in precious metals. And we have always been at the 2%. We're actually slowly starting to increase ours to that 10% mark. And there's different storage options for it. Obviously, you can have a safe at your house. When you start getting a lot of it, you want to outsource that storage to someone else. But I'm not a fan of things like the silver and gold certificates that basically state you own it. To me, those are junk. You want to physically own it, even if that means that you have to pay somebody to store it so that it's safe. We live in an area that's relatively safe, but I'm not going to store a bunch of gold and silver at our house. It's just not a good idea, not a wise choice. I'm also not going to put it in a safety deposit box. I'm going to put it somewhere that does gold and silver storage for a living. So I think I've probably gone on a little bit too long here. I really just wanted to touch base on this, what we're seeing with the numbers rising. We're seeing gold, price of gold increasing. We're seeing the price of cryptocurrencies increasing, and we're seeing the price of the dollar decreasing. We're seeing, right, because the price of the dollar becomes less and less over time through the nature of inflation, and we're starting to see the beginnings of this next cycle. And so I think now is really a good time. I think we're going to see some gold and silver skyrocketing in the prices, and there's some real potential with silver, but gold is your insurance, right? So that's the one that we're buying so that we have some money in this that is not going anywhere. It's insurance. We're not actually trying to make money off the gold. We're just trying to stay at or above inflation with it and have something that has an intrinsic value with it, more so than just a value, because, well, we say that a dollar's worth a dollar. So those are what I want to focus on. Now, I did speak with the guys over at Miles Franklin the other day, David. Talked to him a little bit about platinum and palladium, and I'm not by any means an expert on platinum and palladium, but my brother and I have been talking back and forth here recently about whether we should be investing in platinum, specifically because platinum is really low right now. It's at $1,000 an ounce, and historically platinum has costed more than gold per ounce, and so it's really, I think it was about was it 2000 and it was right at the last collapse. I think it was like 2004 is when it came to where gold increased in value over palladium or platinum. But don't quote me on that. Y'all can look that up. But the reality of it is that platinum's low right now. So one of the questions that we've been asking is now a good time to invest in platinum? And I really don't know the answer on that. I'm looking at what platinum practically is used for. It's one of the reasons why I like silver, is because silver has practical uses as well as intrinsic value. Gold has practical uses as well as intrinsic value, because even though we don't use gold in industry that much, it is still very useful in industry because it's a hell of a circuit conductor. And so if it can't ever lose all of its value because of that, because if gold became so cheap, they would start using it in industry. The platinum has been replaced in palladium for catalytic converters, and it looks like from my research that palladium is more efficient as a catalytic converter, so the chances of it going back to platinum is probably unlikely, but again, that's a limited understanding. We'd need to talk to an engineer that kind of understands that stuff and understands how that works. But so I'm on the fence with platinum right now. I have not made a dive into it to decide whether I should buy any or not. Guys over at Miles Franklin, David said that he doesn't think it's a great investment. He likes silver and gold better, and he recommended buying silver. We did just put some money into gold simply because of the insurance aspect of it. As we're seeing gold prices rise, especially if gold makes a jump. When gold makes a jump, it tends to make very volatile jumps, and so you could potentially see gold jumping from about 1850 an ounce this morning. You could see it jump to $2,000 to $3,000 an ounce, and that would be a sizable income increase for you, and just having that value in your savings is substantial. So, anyways, guys, I went on a little bit longer than I wanted to with this video. So, the bottom line is, along the short is, we should have some money in some of these things. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor, and I don't actually know that much about this. So I just have a shitty little cattle trailer. I have a dumb cowboy hat, and I have cows. So guys, don't listen to me. I don't know why you're even watching, but we definitely should be buying some gold, some crypto, and having some money in some things other than this fiat system. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Really appreciate it.